Hi everyone, I'm Courtney. I've been learning Spanish now for about 10 months. I've been putting a lot of effort into learning Spanish every day since January. In January, I took a trip to Mexico, and this trip inspired me to start learning Spanish. When you learn a new language, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes that you make are harmless, but sometimes the mistakes that you make are very funny. And sometimes the mistakes that you make are even inappropriate. I'm going to tell you about two of my funniest mistakes that I've made trying to speak in Spanish so far. The first mistake that I made when I was trying to speak Spanish was with my Mexican friend. I was talking to my Mexican friend. She was telling me that she just received a new position. She just got a new job. This was exciting news because for a while she had been trying to find a new job. So I was excited for her. I was glad that she had found a new job. It was late at night and we were texting each other, and she told me about this news, this great news that she had been hired. And I texted her. I was trying to tell her, thank you for sharing this exciting news with me. Thank you. But my message didn't come out quite as I intended. I was texting her in Spanish, and instead of saying, I'm excited, estoy emocionada, I used the word excitada. I accidentally said, estoy excitada, which, if you know Spanish, is very, very different from telling someone that you were excited about a position that they obtained. Given the timing of it being late at night and my use of a lot of emojis, it made my friend laugh very hard, and she let me know immediately that that wasn't the correct word to use for this particular situation. Needless to say, I never forgot that word, and now I very much am aware of how to correctly say, I'm excited. The second story of when I use Spanish incorrectly that's kind of funny happened with my Colombian friend. The first time I ever spoke with my Colombian friend was on a video call, and she was telling me about how in Colombia there are many different types of fruit. There are a lot of exotic fruits that here in the US we don't have. And she was listing different fruits and types of juices made with those fruits that I needed to try. She was listing different types of juices, and she was telling me all of this information in Spanish. like I said, I've only been learning Spanish for about 10 months now. So my comprehension isn't always perfect. As she was telling me these different types of juices, I made a mental note of the word juice, which in Colombia is the word jugo. And I was proud of the fact that I understood what she was referencing. During our following calls, during the next couple of calls that we had, here and there, she would occasionally mention something about jugo, with juice. She would frequently say, con jugo. And I understood that she was making a reference back to our first conversation that we had had about juices. So half the time when this happened, I would nod and laugh, thinking mistakenly that she was making a reference back to that first ever conversation we had had. However, this was not the case. What my friend was actually trying to tell me is that I needed to conjugate the verbs that I was saying. She wasn't saying con jugo with juice. She was saying conjugate it, con jugo. She wasn't making a reference at all back to any of the conversations that we had had. She was trying to give me very important advice to conjugate, to change the verb tense of whatever verb I was using. This mistake makes me laugh so much because I was in the middle of telling her a story when we both discovered suddenly, we both realized that I'd been mistaking what she was saying. There'd been a miscommunication for 4 months. It turned into an inside joke for the two of us. An inside joke is a joke that you have with a close group of friends that isn't a common joke. It's only a joke based on a specific situation that occurred within a specific group of friends. So now you understand this inside joke about juice. In your language learning journey, you are going to make a lot of mistakes. It's really normal. In fact, if you're too afraid of making mistakes, it will be hard to progress. I think that adopting an attitude of being okay with making mistakes and embarrassing yourself a little bit is important when you're learning a language. I think that making these mistakes and having to be a little bit humbled while you're learning a language can help you in other areas of your life, because it teaches you that you're not always going to know everything. And sometimes you are going to make a complete fool of yourself. But that's okay. It's all part of the process. I hope that you got a laugh out of my Spanish mistakes because I know that I sure did, and these will be stories I think about and tell people for the rest of my life. I would love to know, what are some mistakes that you've made while you're trying to speak your target language? Are they mistakes in English, or are they mistakes that you've made while speaking another language? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.